Aquarius, what's going on with you? Come on in, have a seat, make yourself comfortable. My name's Alan Hill from UnknownTruthTarot.com. Welcome back to another Aquarius love reading. Today we're going to take a look at the status of the love connection between you and your romantic person of interest here in November 2025. So let's get started. Let's get one card for what's the mutual point of interest between Aquarius and their romantic person of interest here in October 2025. Okay. What's going on with you, Aquarius? What's going on with Aquarius as it relates to their romantic person of interest and the connection between them in November 2025. Okay, we're taking an extra card. No big deal. What's going on with your person, Aquarius? What's going on with Aquarius's romantic person of interest as it relates to Aquarius and the connection between them in November 2025. I feel like I may have said October at the very beginning of that, but it's November now. So let's get one more here. Okay, we're taking an extra card in that last spot for both of you here, it looks like. No problem. Let's see what we have. On the bottom of the deck, the overall energy of this reading is the King of Cups. This is Scorpio energy, sometimes Pisces energy, depending on how you view the court cards. This is someone who has a lot of love and emotions. This might be the way you're looking at them, like viewing them as the King of Cups, like the other half of the love equation. This might mean that they have a lot of emotions for you. The deal with the King of Cups is this is a person who typically does not wear their heart on their sleeve. They don't publicly broadcast how they feel about things, good or bad. So this can be someone that loves you and you may not know because they don't really express it. Sometimes this will be someone who is going through emotional turmoil and you may not know that either because they're pretty good at keeping their face straight and not letting the cat out of the bag, so to speak. I have the Magician right behind that. This is the Master Manifester of the Tarot deck. This is a person whose thoughts and actions shape the world around them to be in alignment with what their will desires. He's got all four aces on the table in front of him, meaning he has all the tools, abilities, and resources to put together a plan, he has all the tools and resources he needs to create his life to be the way he wants it to be. Just may not know exactly what that is from where you sit. I have the Four of Cups right behind that. This is Cancer energy. This is about not being fully emotionally happy or content with what's here in front of you, so much so that there's daydreaming going on about this other thing, this other cup that might make you happy. And it's about not really having that, but like wanting it and not being fully happy with what I have. Now, what's in front of this person that they're not fully happy with is the Three Cups. And the Three of Cups can represent being together, like being united and celebrating, or even being reunited and celebrating. Maybe you don't have that yet, and I'm daydreaming about that. Sometimes this is about a love offer being on the table between two people already and it hasn't been accepted or rejected yet. It's just kind of been left hanging in the air. And sometimes that Three Cups can represent a third-party love triangle thing and can't get that other person out of my head. So I don't necessarily have... Well, maybe I do. We'll hold off on that. We'll come back to that if we need to, but that's the gist of what it looks like this is going to talk about. This mutual point of interest is shared energy that affects both of you in some way here in November 2025, Aquarius. Doesn't always affect you the same way. Sometimes they do this and you feel the consequences or vice versa. Sometimes it's an external thing that's happening, but we have the Five of Swords as that shared energy here. Excuse me. This is Aquarius energy, but fives are conflict. This is sometimes a big fight that ends things. Sometimes this is a betrayal. Sometimes this is dealing with a person who has this winning at all cost attitude, like collateral damage is fine as long as I get what I want. And it's usually not a pleasant energy. At its core, this is a mentally and psychologically painful situation or event taking place. Usually a betrayal. So let me clarify that and see what else we can find out. Tell me more about this Five of Swords, please. Why is that the shared energy? Whoa, time out. We're getting a lot here. I have some that are in the deck flipped face up now. Let me find those. Felt like if I would have kept shuffling, I would have got 10 more cards. And we don't want this to turn into like a 3-hour event here. So what do we got? Okay, that's it. Normally I get 3. I just got 5 clarifiers here for the 5 of Swords. Again, 5s are conflict. I'm getting way ahead of myself. Central energy for your person is also a 5. Now, underlying this 5 of Swords is the 9 of Pentacles. This is Virgo energy. This is a singles energy. This is a step backwards from the 10 of Pentacles that we all want. Maximum stability, abundance, prosperity. The 10 of Pentacles can also be the combining together of 2 people or 2 families and all their assets and resources to build a life together. This is a step back from that. So this is single energy. This is like, I don't physically need you to take care of me or financially need you to take care of me. I can do that. It's about being physically independent, self-sufficient. Sometimes this will represent a person who's not actually single, but they kind of present themselves in the physical world as if they're single, which is how sometimes you get into a betrayal type of a situation here. Can't make this up. 10 of Pentacles right behind it. More Virgo energy. I just told you what that's about. Combining together lives, building a life together. So I usually get this when people are married or when they're engaged or they live together or they're going down the path toward building a life together. But it's kind of odd to have this 9 in the front of it. So that's something's off here. This to me feels like we're together and building a life together, but someone's acting single when they're not, which is probably what this 5 of Swords is about. Yeah, another indicator that we're together. I got Queen of Pentacles right behind that. Capricorn energy. This is wife energy. The Queen of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles work together to make that 10 of Pentacles. They work together as equals to build it and maintain it. So we got wife energy here. Then we have the 9 of Cups right behind it. This is Pisces energy. Again, another single energy. This is a step backwards from the 10 of Cups that we all want. The happily ever after, where there's a connection and you're pouring your love into them and they're pouring their love into you with just as much vigor and enthusiasm as you're doing it, and everyone's fully loved and fully happy and fully appreciated. Again, a step backwards from that. This is about personal happiness. Now, that can represent I don't need another person to make me happy. I'm able to be happy in and of myself. I don't need another person to show up and make me whole because I already am whole. That's the positive side of it. The negative side of it is that personal happiness. Like, my personal happiness is more important than your personal happiness. Me getting what I want is more important than you getting what you want. So we got I got 2 cards here that could indicate married or engaged or living together or going down that kind of a path, but surrounding it are both of the singles energies in the deck, the physically single and the emotionally single. Again, that's sounding like somebody who's not actually single but acts like it. When I clarify 5 of Swords, I get 9 of Swords, 2 of Cups, 6 of Wands, the Lovers, and the Page of Cups. 9 of Swords is Gemini energy of fear, worry, and anxiety. This is thinking about something over and over and over again with all this fear and worry behind the thinking and doing that to the point that it becomes stressful. This is a card of mental anguish. It can be sleepless nights, nightmares, can't concentrate on what I'm doing. The person on the card has their eyes covered because, at least in their mind, the situation is so bad they don't want to look at it. They don't want to face it. Which, okay, yeah, if I'm acting single, only I'm not single, I probably have quite a bit of fear, worry, and anxiety. But it looks like there's a betrayal happening here. Now, this could also be, from your point of view, worrying about maybe they're acting single when they're not. Worrying about betrayal, worrying about how does this person actually feel, because I can't really know what are they creating in the background. There's this idea of not being fully happy and daydreaming about this other cup that might make me happy, and son of a 3 of Cups right behind that. Again, that can be about this Cancer energy. It can be about being united and celebrating, or being reunited and celebrating. But it can also represent a third-party love triangle because there are 3 cups of love in the picture. And the very next, son of a bitch, Queen of Wands. I keep trying to stop, but every time I pick the next card up, because I have to show you what that is, the next one also applies. Queen of Wands is Aries energy, sometimes Leo energy. This is a bold, passionate, fiery, determined person that knows what she wants. She typically does not take no for an answer. This is the fire element queen, in other words, the hot queen. So a lot of times this represents the other woman, the person that there's attraction for, desire for, sexual energy around her. Right below that, Seven of Swords and the Moon. Seven of Swords is Aquarius energy. This is lying, cheating, deception, sneaking around behind your back. The Moon is also fear, worry, and anxiety, sometimes from uncertainty. So there's two cards in the deck that can mean fear, worry, and anxiety. Here's both of them. The other thing about the Moon, if you think about when the moon's out, it's dark outside. This can represent something being hidden in the dark, some secret being kept. Hence the fear, worry, and anxiety. Man, oh man, oh man. This person that you have all the love and emotions for has actively created something through their thoughts and their actions. Probably weren't fully happy with what they have and were daydreaming about the other person. Hence the Three Cups of Love. Hence the other person. Hence the lying and sneaking around, getting away with something and keeping it secret. That is explaining the betrayal to a T here. Next clarifier for that Five of Swords is the Two of Cups, more Cancer energy. This is an emotional connection between two people, a love connection between two people. It's also a two, and twos represent choices. So this is a choice about the connection between the two of you. It can also represent a choice between two different people. Then I get the Six of Wands, which is Leo energy of recognition. So this is either getting recognized for something, as in having the spotlight shined on you. Sometimes that's great energy, like you're getting appreciated, patted on the back for a good job. Sometimes this is someone being recognized for betrayal, for having a choice between two people, for acting single when I'm not. Maybe they're worried about getting recognized. Maybe you're worried because you're recognizing something that you may not want to see, hence the eyes being covered. The next card is the Lovers, which is the major arcana version of this Two of Cups we just looked at. Again, this probably feels like a powerful connection. But a long time ago, this card used to be called the Choice before it was called the Lovers. So it represents the interconnectedness between people and how when you're in a connection like that, when you're connected with somebody, their choices affect you, your choices affect them. This can represent a choice about this connection or a choice between lovers. And then I get the Page of Cups. Pages are messengers, and cups are about love and emotions. So this is news and messages and communicating about love and emotions. It can be flirtatious behavior. It's usually early stages of a love thing where we're at the point where we're talking about it, not necessarily acting on it. I don't know that that's exactly the case. Sometimes this can represent an apology or maybe wanting an apology. But the fish in the cup is usually a sleight of hand kind of a thing. It's like, I don't want you to look me in the eyes because then you'll be able to figure me out. So I'm kind of distracting you with this other thing so you look there and maybe you won't see what maybe you won't recognize that I've got two connections here that I have to choose between. That's the shared energy that seems to be affecting you both here in November. I'll freely admit to you, I'm not always 100% certain exactly what this is trying to tell me right at the beginning of the reading, although it feels like I have a pretty good handle on it because that seemed really clear to me. Still, I'm going to come back to that as I go through your energy, Aquarius, because then I'll be able to see how that applies to you. I will come back to it again when I go through your person's energy for that same reason. I'm all choked up here. Your energy in this connection. First card is always the most important. You get the Ten of Wands. Central for your energy is the Four of Wands. And your final card came out as two. We got the Fool and the Eight of Pentacles. The Ten of Wands is Sagittarius energy. This is a heavy burden that you're carrying. It's something that's weighing you down and holding you back. It's a 10, and 10s are completion. So this is supposed to be the completion of the burden. In other words, getting to that spot where you can lay the burden down and move on without it. Tell me about this Ten of Wands, please. Why is that the first card for Aquarius in this connection for November 2025? Okay. Let's get one more on that, please. Tell me more about this Ten of Wands. Okay, we'll take two. I see. That explains the burden. Okay. Underlying this heavy burden, the Star. This is the Aquarius Major Arcana card. This is a card of hope. It's a card of healing. It's also the card that comes immediately after the Tower. So I know something bad has happened. Had I not seen all this underlying energy, I would still know, because you don't make it to the Star without going through the Tower first. It just doesn't happen any other way. This is usually the hope for the future, the hope that gets us through, hoping that we can heal the connection. So this is what's underlying the heavy burden that's weighing you down, is hope. And hope is one of those tricky things where sometimes hope is the only thing that gets us through this negative situation, this mentally and psychologically painful spot, this mental anguish, looking for a choice about a connection, maybe looking for an apology or some communications about feelings here. Sometimes the hope is the only thing that gets us through. But when it's misplaced hope, misguided hope, that becomes the chain that's around our ankle that stops us from getting our head above the water. That hope can actually be the burden that holds you back. It stops you from releasing something by hoping that it's going to heal. Right behind it is the Nine of Cups again. Pisces energy, single energy, emotionally by myself. I know everyone's goal is the 10 of Cups, but what really is supposed to be the goal is the 9, because you can't even make it to the 10 until you're in the 9. And that's when I'm happy and content in and of myself. I don't need another person to make me happy. If you think about it logically, happiness, like scientifically, happiness is a chemical that we make in our body, and it has an effect on our brain, and ta-da, we're happy. We each make that chemical ourselves. So another person can't make you happy. You can't make me happy because you're not connected to my endocrine system. I am. What we typically do is another person will be around us. We'll make all those happy chemicals and we'll make ourselves happy, but then we'll blame it on them and like, oh, you make me happy. But that's not actually true. This is about having that happiness from inside yourself. Being whole in and of yourself, not requiring an external person to make you whole. This could be that you have a lot of happiness, your personal happiness tied to the idea of healing this, tied to the hope. But then there's the Moon behind it. The Moon is fear, worry, and anxiety. We've already seen it. From uncertainty. I'm uncertain if this can be healed. This can also represent something being hidden in the dark or some secret being kept from you. It could be that the person was emotionally acting like they're single, and here you are hoping that we can get it back, is what it looks like. Yeah, when I go right there beyond that Moon card, there's the 10 of Wands again. The heavy burden that's weighing you down and holding you back. Sagittarius energy. That is the card that I'm clarifying right now. When I clarify that 10 of Wands, 10 of Swords, the Empress, 7 of Wands, the Chariot. The 10 of Swords is Gemini energy. This is a swift, painful ending. Sometimes this is an ending you didn't see coming, which is why the swords are in your back. If you saw it coming, they'd be in your front. Sometimes this is an ending in betrayal, hence the swords in the back, getting stabbed in the back and betrayed. Shared energy. 5 of Swords, betrayal. Something has come to an end here. Like when you get 10 swords through your back, you're not going to go to the hospital and get some stitches and be fine tomorrow. This is someone's deader than a doornail here. Part of the burden you have, yes, you have all this happiness tied to it, but you also, there's something you don't know. There's something you have uncertainty about, whether I should even continue hoping for this. But if you're hoping for something that's dead, to not be dead anymore, of course that's going to be something that weighs you down and holds you back. It looks like what the ending here that you didn't see coming was tied to the Empress. This is the mother of the tarot deck. She's always pregnant. She's always giving birth to something. In a relationship reading, she represents the birth of something new. Usually that's the birth of a new relationship. Looks like that's what killed this. That's why there's a choice between two different connections, a choice between two lovers. We got someone being flirty and lovey-dovey here. Man, their energy is heavy over here. Next clarifier for 10 of Wands, 7 of Wands. Leo energy. This is defensive energy. This is defending your position on something, defending your stance on something, being willing to fight to protect something that's important to you, something you believe in, something that you desire. Maybe being willing to fight for this connection, trying to maintain the hope that we can fight our way through this, even though there's the birth of something new and it's clearly ended. Now, sometimes that would mean you're being defensive about me telling you that this hope is misplaced, misguided hope. Sometimes that's being defensive about the betrayal, especially in the choice between two different people, especially with the moon back here, and you may not actually know that to be fact yet. Maybe this is your person being defensive with you and saying, "Nuh-uh, I didn't birth a new connection. Nuh-uh, wasn't me. I didn't do that." So take that piece however it applies to you. But then we get the Chariot as the final clarifier for that 10 of Wands. Cancer Major Arcana energy. This is the fastest energy in the deck. This is very fast forward movement. At its core, it's the underlying will to overcome the problem or the challenge or the obstacle that's in my way. It's just trying to get past all that through just sheer willpower alone, then move forward successfully. But there is a misalignment in the card. There's a black sphinx and a white sphinx, and the driver has no reins to control it. That black sphinx represents the shadow side of a person. The white sphinx is the light side of a person. And if those two pieces of you aren't in alignment, if they're not both pulling in the same direction, this thing doesn't go anywhere. It's stuck like the Hanged Man. Or worse yet, it'll rip itself in half as it tries to move forward because two parts are pulling in different directions. That might be you pulling one way, them pulling a different way. That might be you having some sort of an internal conflict about overcoming this, about the hope that we can heal it. Maybe the uncertainty about that and the burden attached to that. Central for your energy in this connection, we got the 4 of Wands, Aries energy. 4s are about stability. So this would be stability of the home life, stability of the family life, stability of the connection between the two of you. The 4 wands represent 1111, which is the number of manifesting. We saw that with the Magician card. He has the 4 aces on the table in front of him, the ones of the 4 suits, 1111. So this is about manifesting. This is the stage in manifesting when the thing that I want has appeared and it's stable in physical reality and I can celebrate its arrival. This is sometimes a celebration of home and family, stability of home and family. Tell me about this 4 of Wands. Why is that the central energy for Aquarius here in November, please? Looks like we got a lot here. Well, don't get more clear than that. Underlying this 4 of Wands is the Sun. This is Leo Major Arcana energy. This is the happiest card in the deck. This is happiness, joy, bliss, harmony. You can't really get a better card than the Sun in a love reading when happiness is what it's talking about. The other thing the Sun can represent is it's the card that comes immediately after the moon that we just saw. When the moon's out and it's dark outside and something is being hidden in the dark, there's a secret being kept. The next step is the sun comes up and it ain't dark anymore. Now the light gets shined on it. It gets illuminated. It gets exposed and I can see it. And being able to see it leads to the 5 of Cups. Scorpio energy. This is sadness and remorse about the past. It's regrets. It's an emotional loss of some kind. The person on the card is looking at these 3 spilled cups. That represents being together, and it's spilled, meaning all the love and emotions, all the time, effort, and energy that's been spilled and wasted. There's still 2 upright cups in the background, meaning that there's probably, I can still feel the connection, and that's what's keeping me focused on not having it anymore. That makes sense because 3 cups weighs more than 2 cups. It's bigger. And that's where your attention is naturally going to go. And that's really at its core what this card is about. What a person focuses on is going to dictate to you exactly what emotions you feel. So if you focus on the loss of something, you're going to feel that loss. If you focus on something that's missing from your life, you're going to feel that gap in your life. There are other things that you could choose to be happy about if you would shift your focus to look in that direction instead. But like I said, naturally, we're going to go to the bigger thing that's going to pull your attention automatically. And this is going to require like a conscious effort shift to change your focus. One of those things that's easier said than done. Now, the other thing that this can represent is if we have a third party thing going on, like it looks like in the overall energy, and like it looks like in the shared energy, and like it looks like at the beginning of your energy, that spilled 3 cups could represent that the third party thing is what spilled this connection. And this could be another connection looming in the background, and having sadness and remorse about that, having seen that now. When I clarify the 4 of Wands, normally I get 3. I think I just got 6 here. 8 of Swords, the Emperor, Knight of Swords, 10 of Cups, 5 of Swords, and the Magician. The 8 of Swords, Gemini energy. This is thinking about something over and over and over again on this repeating loop in your mind. The lady on the card's blindfolded, so that means there's data that I'm missing here. There's something I don't see, or maybe something I don't want to see. And this is about not wanting to make a mistake and step in the wrong spot, do the wrong thing, but not being sure what to do and feeling stuck and trapped and blocked because of that. Hence the overthinking and the grinding on it. That's tied directly to the 10 of Swords out here. I've got the 10 of Swords, the 8 of Swords, the 9 of Swords out here. That's all 3 Gemini Minor Arcana cards. I've got the Lovers. That's the Gemini Major Arcana card. You might be dealing with the Gemini. There's a little Cancer. I've seen some Leo, some Scorpio out here, Aquarius, more Leo, a little bit of Cancer. You could be dealing with any of those signs, but really you could be dealing with any sign. This is a collective reading, so it's going to be almost impossible to pin down exactly who you're dealing with as an individual person, because I'm not tapping into your specific energy as an individual person right now. I'm tapping into tens of thousands of Aquarius people all at once. So I'm going to keep calling the signs out just in case they mean anything to you. But that's 8 of Swords is Gemini energy. Next, I have the Aries Major Arcana card, the Emperor. This is another kind of like a master manifestor energy. This is a person with all the tools and resources to put together a plan to get what they want and then execute the plan to get what they want. This is a control energy. It's taking control, taking charge of the situation. The person that calls the shots. They make the rules. They set the boundaries. It's rare that this is the person that I'm reading for. It's usually the other person, and they're the ones in control of this whole thing. And then you not being sure what to even do and grinding on it. That Emperor is sitting right beside the Empress. So this is probably you feeling like we're supposed to be together. We're counterparts here. And maybe not being able to understand like why this is over. Why this ended. Maybe didn't see that coming, and now it's like, what do I do? And I've got these open loops in my mind, and I'm trying to fill in all the blanks. And the Emperor, this is not the person that answers your question, because he's the fucking Emperor. He doesn't have to tell you anything. He's the one running the show. Like, that's the kind of mentality of the person you're probably dealing with. And if they do tell you stuff, it's probably, no, I didn't do that. No, you're wrong. Next, I have the Knight of Swords. This is the fastest knight in the deck. This is rushing forward and taking this decisive action on something. Usually this is a person who doesn't think it through first. They just take the action and they don't think about it until afterwards. This is like spur of the moment, spontaneous, impulsive, reckless decision making, and then being all defensive about that. Then I get the Ten of Cups. This is Pisces energy. We referenced that when we've seen the Nine of Cups a couple of times. This is just the happily ever after card. This is the one card that everyone wants to see. This is the card that gets more of us in trouble than any card in the deck. And it's because of that happily ever after fairy tale component to it. This is very rarely talking to me about happily ever after and true love and all that stuff. It's not saying that doesn't exist. It does exist. But in a reading like this, this is usually talking to me about someone's idealized point of view. And if you zoom out for a minute and look at this logically, if you really had the Ten of Cups with this person, would you be here right now watching a tarot love reading, trying to figure out what's going on in your connection, trying to get guidance on what's going on in your love life? The answer to that is no, because you would just be out living the happily ever after. You wouldn't even need a tarot reading. Watching a tarot reading would be the farthest thing from your mind. Also, if you really had the happily ever after, the shared energy would not be betrayal. There would not be fear, worry, anxiety, stress, mental anguish. There would not be two different references of recognizing there's another connection, another lover here. We wouldn't see the moon. We damn sure wouldn't have a heavy burden and Ten of Swords, swift, painful ending you don't see coming, ending in betrayal. You wouldn't have the birth of something new in the mix of that. And the very next card would not be the Five of Swords from the other deck. Betrayal, mental and psychological pain. This is looking like a case of being burdened because this is dead and not understanding that it's dead, or still maintaining the hope that it's not going to remain dead. Having this, like, the idealized view of, like, this Ten of Cups is not looking at it for the way that it is. It's looking at it for the way that I wish it was, the way that I want it to be. But it's surrounded by sometimes what gets called the narcissist of the deck with this Knight of Swords. And at the least, this is somebody who's spontaneous, impulsive, reckless, with this love connection here. And a betrayal happens. Even right beside the Ten of Cups is that the willingness to overcome the obstacles. So if you really have the Ten of Cups, there is no obstacle. You're already there. It's the completion of the cup suit. There is no obstacle. But there is an obstacle here. And there's this defensiveness and wanting to fight to protect it with betrayal, mental, psychological pain, seeing something get illuminated that causes you an emotional loss. And then we have the Magician, which again, we've already seen that. Master Manifester energy. It's 2 cards deep. It's tied directly to your person. Even this King of Cups. A lot of times I'll see that, and that will be where the person I'm reading for has all these emotions for the person, and they're giving them a lot more credit than they're actually worthy of. Even in the shared energy, we got the Page of Cups out here, like the little boy version of the King of Cups. This is not fully emotionally mature energy, not fully emotionally developed. It can be emotionally immature. But then we got him pegged as king here. But again, Magician is tied to that energy, and the last clarifier is the Magician. This is the person whose thoughts and actions created this situation that I'm reading about. Created the betrayal. I've got both Master Manifestors in this central column for you. The Emperor and the Magician. Final card in your energy, Aquarius. The Fool and the Eight of Pentacles. They came out together. The Fool is the first card of the major arcana, the first card of the whole tarot deck, Card 0. This is a legitimate new beginning at something. It's usually a new beginning where I don't really know how this is going to work. I don't really know what the steps are. This is about taking the blind leap of faith and just saying, you know what, screw it. I'm going to leap off the cliff and I'll figure it out on my way down. I'll figure it out as I go. Can also represent foolish behavior, foolish decision making, taking an unnecessary risk, risks outside of the connection. I've got the Fool and the Knight of Swords out here. That's the opposite of look before you leap. That's just leap before you look. And beside the Fool is the Eight of Pentacles, Virgo energy of work, putting in the work, putting in the time, effort, and energy on something to get what I want, or at least being willing to do that. So in spite of everything I've said so far, it looks like you still have this, let's take the blind leap of faith and work on this. Let's see if we can put this back together. Tell me about the Fool, please. Why is the Fool and the Eight of Pentacles final card for Aquarius in November? Okay, giving me extra cards again, no problem. Well, on the bottom of the deck, underlying that Fool, Eight of Pentacles energy, 10 of Pentacles, Virgo energy. Makes sense why I would take the leap of faith and putting in the work on it. We've already combined lives together. You might be married to this person. You might live together. At the very least, this is a committed connection here where we've started building a life together. And right behind it, 9 of Pentacles. And now I'm single. Man, so now I got 8, 9, and 10 of Pentacles. That's all the Virgo Minor Arcana cards. And the Virgo Major Arcana card is out here. That happened with Gemini. Now it's happening again with Virgo. Very peculiar. Yeah, behind this acting single, when I'm actually combined my life together with someone else already, is the Moon. Again, something hidden in the dark, some secret being kept. When I clarify the Fool and the Eight of Pentacles, 9 of Cups, Queen of Wands, the Hermit, Queen of Pentacles, 5 of Pentacles. Man. 9 of Cups, that's a step backwards from this 10 of Cups. This is emotionally by myself, emotionally single. Like I said, in the positive sense, this would be recognizing that my happiness comes from inside of me, not outside of me. I don't need someone else to make me whole because I already am whole. I don't need someone else to show up and make me feel worthy of being loved because I already love myself. But that is tied to this idea of working on it. Like, my personal happiness is tied to taking the leap of faith to work on this. Problem is, it's also sitting right beside the 8 of Swords, grinding over and over and over and over again about my personal happiness and what I have my happiness attached to, what I want. It's in the same row with 10 of Swords. The thing that you have your happiness attached to is dead. Now, this could also be talking about your person, especially with betrayal out here, mental psychological pain, betrayal attached to this idea of happily ever after, to the idealized viewpoint you had about the relationship. Betrayal and mental pain is tied to that, and your person created that situation. This can represent your person feeling like my happiness is more important than yours. Me getting what I want is more important than you getting what you want. And I get the Queen of Wands next. This is the fire element queen. We already saw that right here behind the 3 of Cups, the third party love triangle. And it's right in front of 7 of Swords and the Moon, lying and cheating and sneaking around and keeping that secret. This represents the other woman. It's the fire element queen, the hot queen, the one I have all this passion and desire and attraction and sexual energy toward. And that's sitting right beside the Emperor in the same row with birthing something new, the birth of a new connection. Looks like this is representing their personal jollies being attached to this other woman and probably blocking you from seeing it. Like, that Emperor is attached to a card where the lady is blindfolded. And she doesn't really have all of the information, therefore doesn't know what to do and feels stuck. Next I get the Hermit, Virgo's Major Arcana card. This is a card of withdrawal, isolation. This usually means communication shuts down, and if it hasn't shut down completely, it's way different than it used to be. This is a card about soul searching. It's about deep inner reflection, deep contemplation, searching my soul, trying to figure out what do I do moving forward from here. But it's about looking inside yourself. I get this card a lot when someone ghosts you, or when things happen and you don't have any closure for it and you're not getting any answers, and it's about doing the soul searching. This is not a voluntary energy in that sense. This is something happens and it forces us to do soul searching. We don't just wake up and go, oh, it's nice outside, I think I'll do soul searching today. Something puts us in that spot. I got another person tied to that energy, and it's also in the same row with this defensive, potentially narcissistic behavior, someone who's reckless with their decision making and does things before they think about it and then gets defensive about it. Fastest knight in the deck. I also have the Chariot out here, which can sometimes just represent getting the hell out of Dodge really fast. Maybe they ghosted you. At the very least, I don't think you have closure on it, because I did see that underlying hope that we can get through this, even though it's clearly not something that you actually would want to even get through. Next, I get the Queen of Pentacles, Capricorn energy. This is usually wife energy. I haven't seen King of Pentacles anywhere. I've seen Queen of Pentacles twice now. I've got 10 of Pentacles. Also, in this same column, I have two different queens here. The one that's at home and the hot one that I'm probably chasing around and having all this desire for. Queen of Pentacles is sitting right here looking at the 10 of Cups, the happily ever after. Trying to figure out how do we overcome the obstacles to get back to the 10 of Cups. But like I said, you didn't have the 10 of Cups. That was an idealized point of view. That was a fantasy. This is about looking at it for the way you wish it was instead of the way it actually is. It's got reckless decision making and betrayal tied to it. Final card to clarify the Fool and the Eight of Pentacles, this idea of putting in the work on it, is the Five of Pentacles. This is Taurus energy. Fives are conflict. This is abandonment, being cast aside, being left out in the cold, being discarded. It's half of this 10 of Pentacles energy. So it looks like the other person has left, or maybe you left. I'm not sure. I don't think it was you that left as much as I think it's them that left. The card is sitting right beside it, Five of Swords, betrayal, breakup. The only card on your side that has nothing to go with it is that Magician card, representing the person whose thoughts and actions created this whole situation, all this energy that's affecting you right now. That's your energy in this connection, Aquarius. I'm sorry if this is what you're going through, because I can feel how rough that would be. In fact, I've been through similar, not quite the same, but similar. So I get it. Your person's energy in this connection. The first card is the most important, Queen of Swords. Central for their energy. There's the Five of Pentacles from the other deck. And their final card came out as two, the Tower and the Page of Wands. Queen of Swords is Libra energy. This is about speaking the truth on something, facing the truth, speaking the truth, and then cutting off a thing or a person that doesn't serve them anymore. Usually this is having the difficult conversation and a severing takes place, as in the connection getting severed. Tell me about Queen of Swords, please. Why is that out here for Aquarius' person of interest? November 2025. Let's get one more for that, please. Well, Underlying Queen of Swords, Ten of Pentacles. Virgo energy, combined together life. That's what's being severed here. Going single, Virgo energy. Independent, single, physically single. Probably was not single at the beginning of this. Probably had a combined together life with you, but presented themselves as single when they weren't, or really wanted to be single. King of Swords behind that, Aquarius energy. This is like the very smart, logical, rational, conscious mind decision maker kind of an energy. It's the person that throws their emotions out the window when they decide things. Very detached emotionally, can feel distant emotionally, cold and calculated even. It's the counterpart to the Queen of Swords. Now, the King and Queen of Pentacles make the Ten of Pentacles. King and Queen of Cups make the Ten of Cups. King and Queen of Swords make the Ten of Swords. And that was your very first clarifier over here. That represents people that used to be together but aren't anymore. Probably cold and calculated in what they've done here. When I clarify Queen of Swords, strength, Ace of Swords, the Hierophant. Strength is a Leo major arcana card. This is typically about going through a very difficult situation that takes all of their internal strength to make it through it. A lot of times this will represent a person who's trying to tame this beast inside themselves. In other words, they have this urge or this impulse or this thing that they want really bad, and they're trying to like rein that piece of themselves in, trying to contain that and hold that piece of themselves back. Then I get the Ace of Swords, the sword of truth, the sword of clarity. It's the sword you use to make decisions with. It's what the King of Swords carries. It's what the Queen of Swords carries. This is the sword that you would sever a connection with or cut someone out of your life with. And I've got the Hierophant here. So it looks like the thing that's being severed is the Hierophant, which is the Taurus Major Arcana card. This is a card of commitment. It's about taking things to the next level. In a relationship reading, this is considered a marriage card. Taking the connection to the next level, engagement, marriage, living together, that kind of stuff. I've got Ten of Pentacles, Hierophant. The other marriage card is the Four of Wands. That's central to your energy. And then the other ones that you could consider marriage cards are Queen of Pentacles and King of Pentacles. But I have not seen head nor tail of King of Pentacles yet, which tells me that they're off doing something different than what you're doing here. They're off pretending to be single when they're not. And it looks like making a decision about this commitment, severing the commitment. I'd say severing it because I got Queen of Swords, King of Swords, Ace of Swords all right there. And the next card central to their energy is the Five of Pentacles, which we saw as your very last clarifier over here, tied to Queen of Pentacles getting abandoned. Probably Queen of Pentacles getting ghosted and having no closure. Five of Pentacles, abandonment. Breakup energy. Why is Five of Pentacles the central energy for Aquarius' person of interest? I just had the Knight of Wands flip up and show itself to me and then go face down right back in the deck and didn't come out. That doesn't mean Knight of Wands isn't present here, that energy's not present. It is. That's why it flipped up and showed itself to me. It didn't come out because this person is trying to contain everything. They're trying to maintain control here and not let everything out in the open, which is why you have missing information with that blindfold. They're being defensive. That's why I keep seeing the moon, something being hidden. That's why I've got the Seven of Swords, the lying and the deception and the sneaking around with this Queen of Wands that's out here. The moon, hiding things. Let's get one more for this Five of Pentacles, please. Thank you. Underlying Five of Pentacles. Nine of Pentacles. Single energy. Presenting myself as single when I'm not. Wanting to be single. Abandoning breakup energy. This presenting themselves as single is the burden that's weighing you down and holding you back. I saw that same dynamic when I clarified your first card, 10 of Wands, and that single energy was there. Yeah, and they're cutting the burden. This is probably them wanting to be single and feeling burdened by the commitment that they're in. So logically speaking, I'm just going to cut this off. I'm going to end this burden and I'm going to abandon this and break up. When I clarify Five of Pentacles, I get Page of Pentacles, the High Priestess, and the Knight of Cups. Page of Pentacles is news and messages and communications about some physical, tangible opportunity presenting itself. Sometimes that's an early stage plan for their future after this breakup, trying to be single. Sometimes that's communicating about a physical opportunity, as in like, hey, I'm going to be at this place on this day at this time. We should meet up and have the physical opportunity to do something. Could just be they're communicating with someone here. High Priestess, that's she who knows. That's your intuition showing up over here. That's when you know something and you don't have any way of knowing it. It's like an intuitive hit, a gut feeling, a sign, a dream that has a message. It's some internal knowing where you don't have the facts yet. The truth is sitting right beside what your intuition is telling you. And I will freely admit to you, 99% of the time when your intuition is talking to you, it's telling you something you don't want to hear. It's telling you something you don't want to see, something you don't want to be true. I mean, who wants to hear they have another person? Who wants to hear, I'm telling you, it's getting louder, going from Two of Cups to the major arcana Lovers. I'm telling you, they have another person. They're betraying you. Of course you don't want to hear that. And if you don't have the facts, which it doesn't look like you do with the moon, I keep seeing it over and over again. The first clarifier is an ending you didn't see coming. I don't blame you one bit for not taking it just a feeling and that being good enough. But that's kind of what that represents. Like, my intuition told me, but I didn't trust myself. I abandoned myself because I was so focused on the external person that I didn't have faith in my internal world, my internal guidance. What your intuition seems to be telling you is that they're communicating with some other opportunity they have. And this Knight of Cups is actions toward love and emotions, moving forward with romantic offers, romantic gestures, taking actions to advance romantically in some way. I said in the shared energy, this Page of Cups is usually the stage where we're just doing the flirty behavior and talking lovey-dovey stuff, not necessarily doing anything about it yet. But one step up from that is when we start taking actions on that. And it looks like I'm doing that while I'm in a commitment with you, and I'm actively moving away from the commitment, actively trying to sever the commitment. And I think you probably felt that maybe before you saw what was happening. I do think eventually you saw it because I did have the sun illuminating that. But just because we see something doesn't mean we want to see it. Sometimes people will see something and they'll find a way to like cover their eyes anyway and make it so no, that's not what really happened. I'm seeing that wrong. Final card for your person, Aquarius, the Tower and the Page of Wands. The Tower is the collapse of some important structure in your lives, the collapse of the relationship. Sometimes that's the collapse of the belief system that you're operating from, this mental model of the world you had of where I believed this was the 10 of Cups. I believed this was happily ever after. I believed we were going to spend our lives together, and now something has happened to shatter that belief. And tied to that energy is the Page of Wands, which is news, messages, and communications about passion and desire. Passionate messages. So I've got lovey-dovey messages. I've got passionate messages. I've got a choice between two lovers. I've got a choice between two different connections. Getting recognized for same in the middle. I've got your person's thoughts and actions creating this situation of a betrayal of this Ten of Cups that you believed in. This is also the minor arcana version of the Fool, which was one of your final cards, taking the blind leap of faith on something. This is the dude that will just leap off the cliff and worry about how to grow wings on the way down. This Page of Wands is a way more toned down version of that. This is the person who has the willingness to take the first steps down a brand new path towards something there's passion and desire for. Tell me about the Tower, the Page of Wands, please. Let's get one more on that, please. Yeah, I'm just now noticing in your energy. Normally I get 3 cards when I clarify. I got 3 cards every time for your person. I got 4, 6, and 5 for you. A lot more energy on your side. I think this 9 of Swords is probably more you than them. Although it does affect them, they were probably worried they were going to get found out with what they were doing. Your intuition told on them. I think you knew, but you didn't really have proof or evidence of it. It's just a feeling. Underlying the Tower and the Page of Wands is the King of Wands. This is Leo energy. This is a bold, passionate, fiery, determined person you're dealing with. They know exactly what they want. This ain't the dude who takes no for an answer. This is the dude who's going to find a way to get what he wants, or he's going to make a way to get what he wants. He ain't taking no for an answer. It's also the top level of the wand suit. And the wand is about passion, desire, sexual energy. This is a person who's not just driven and motivated in general. They're also driven and motivated by passion and desire. It's the counterpart to this Queen of Wands, the other woman that's over here. And I think they were probably trying to control everything and maybe block you from being able to see that. Yeah, Page of Swords is right behind it. That can be a card of spying or snooping around or investigating or trying to learn something or figure something out. Maybe you got suspicious and started looking around. Maybe someone that knows this person and knows you saw it. Hell, what I'm doing right now in a tarot reading qualifies as Page of Swords because I'm snooping around trying to figure out what the hell's going on between the two of you. They could have been fearful and worried that you were going to find out, or that somebody was going to tell you what's going to be found out is that they're thinking with the wrong head, if you know what I mean. I did see King of Swords, the logical mind. I've got King of Cups, the person that makes their decisions with how they feel, and this is the person that makes decisions with their wand. Behind it, 2 of Pentacles. This is 1 foot in, 1 foot out energy. It's a 2, so it's a choice. It's a choice between 2 physical things, and I can't have them both at the same time. Do I want the wife, or do I want this other person? I can't make up my mind. It can also represent juggling 2 people, which is probably what they don't want found out. Clearly juggling 2 people. 2 of Cups, lovers, betrayal in the shared energy. When I clarify the Tower and the Page of Wands, I get the 5 of Cups, the 8 of Pentacles, and the 9 of Wands. That's interesting. 5 of Cups is Scorpio energy, sadness and remorse about the past. We already saw this once. The 3 Cups represents all the love and emotions, all the time, effort, and energy that's been spilled and wasted. And the 2 Cups in the background can represent the connection that they still feel, but it can also represent the other connection looming in the background, and that third party thing is what spilled it. And yeah, maybe there is an element of sadness and remorse about that, but it doesn't seem to be stopping what they're doing. It's like I tried to contain myself, but I still kept talking to this person about opportunities. I kept talking to them about what I want, what I desire, expressing interest, taking the first steps down the path toward passion, and it cost us everything. The Tower has collapsed. Then there's this 8 of Pentacles again, which is over here in your final column too. Virgo energy of work, putting in the work, time, effort, and energy on something to get what I want. Now, I could take that as this person regrets what happened and they're sad about what happened and they want to work on it. I could take it that way. I could also take it that they were working on something different than what you were working on, and your intuition is sitting right beside that. You knew what they were working on without actually having the proof, without having the facts and the truth of the matter. But I could also take this that what I'm working on is severing this connection, even though it hurts to have to do it, even though I regret having to hurt someone to do it. It's the only thing that makes sense with this final card, because if I'm communicating with someone else and following my wand, and that's collapsed everything, and I'm sad about that, and I regret doing that, and I want to work on it, then explain this wall that's in the way. That doesn't make any sense. The Nine of Wands is Sagittarius energy of being walled off, defensive. This is the barrier that's in the way. Working on it has a barrier in the way, because that barrier would stop them from being able to advance romantically the way they want to. It would stop them from being able to get out of this commitment. I think you're still hoping, at least what it looked like, was you're still hoping that this can be healed, that it can be fixed and put back together, even though that's clearly not what's happening here. And I think, yeah, sure, they have some regrets about it, but this idea of work has got the brakes on it. It's got a barrier in the way of it. Even going back to this Chariot on this side, this Black Sphinx is probably them pulling one direction, and the White Sphinx is probably you pulling in a different direction. Still trying to overcome this, but them fighting it off. The central card in the shared energy is recognition. So this is supposed to be about you recognizing something from this, and what you recognize allowing forward movement to happen for you.